We're in the Royal Abbey Church of Saint-Denis, just a few miles from the center of Paris. This is the royal burial place of French kings and one of the most important religious centers in all of France. This is also where the Gothic style began. Saint-Denis was the passion of its greatest abbot, Suger, who was born in 1081 and became one of the most influential clerics and statesmen of his time. It was his dream to build a church where worshippers could actually feel the presence of God. And to Suger, God's presence meant light. Here in the choir of Saint-Denis, Suger brought God's light into the church. Suger didn't invent the stained glass window. He simply used it on a scale previously unknown. This entire area is virtually enclosed by a beautiful curtain of glass. The choir, the ambulatory passage which allowed movement around the choir, these elegant radiating chapels are all part of Suger's vision. And this unity of design and structure became the essence of Gothic architecture. Compare Saint-Denis to the Romanesque churches of the time. We see heavy, castle-like structures with small windows and massive walls. Next to these buildings, Suger's church, with its delicate, light, glass-filled walls, must have seemed a miracle. For as Pierre asked, how could such a building be supported by walls of glass? Well, the answer is, it couldn't. What traditionally supports a roof and ceiling are walls. In the earliest churches, these walls gradually evolved into a series of arches and load-bearing columns called piers. As wooden ceilings were replaced by more permanent, fireproof, and significantly heavier stone ceilings called vaults, the walls had to be thicker to support the increased weight and resist the outward thrust. The windows remained quite small. In later buildings, the downward weight and outward thrust of the vaulting was concentrated at a number of specific points. By making the arches wider and the piers heavier, more of the wall space could be opened up for windows. As church buildings grew taller and closer to the heavens, the weight of the vaulting inside and the force of the wind outside increased. At some point, the piers would have become so huge that the space between them would have become virtually unusable. So, to reduce the size of the main piers and to effectively resist the force of the wind, additional support, placed out of the interior space, was needed. The result was a row of buttresses, connected to the high walls by stone arms, called flying buttresses. We're up among the flying buttresses at Amiens, one of the tallest cathedrals in the world. The thrust of the interior vaulting pushes against the wall high above each of the main piers. It then passes through the wall, travels across the flying buttress, and is channeled through the main buttress into the foundations below. The result of this is a wide, unobstructed aisle below me and this magnificent wall of glass behind me. Initially, Gothic builders weren't entirely sure about their new breakthrough. Chartres, one of the first of the giant cathedrals, was begun in 1194. It has massive buttresses, each weighing over 2 million pounds. The flying buttresses, on the other hand, are rather timid. The builders of Chartres were taking no chances. At Bourges, built almost as early as Chartres, we see long, delicate flying buttresses that much more gracefully support a building of comparable size. Far less light is blocked by structure. Each buttress weighs only 1/3 as much as those at Chartres, an important factor not only in the appearance of the building, but also in its cost. Moving stone from great distances, hauling it to the site, and then lifting it to these extraordinary heights meant that economy in design was essential. It was possible, however, to take that economy a little too far. In 1284, there was a collapse at the just completed cathedral at Beauvais, after the nave had reached a height of 150 feet. The transept and choir are all that remain. But for the most part, the medieval builder was extremely careful and knowledgeable. He used his own building as a model, checking each part as it was finished. An example of the builder's knowledge is to be found in the use of ornate stone pinnacles like these here at Amiens.
For centuries, people thought they were merely decorative, but as it turns out, their weight helps the buttresses to do their jobs more effectively.
The cathedral was meant to be a physical representation of the divine order of things, a microcosm of a universe fashioned by God, the ultimate master builder. Nowhere is this better seen than in the perfect proportions of the west facade of Notre Dame in Paris. In all its magnificence, Notre Dame was a fitting symbol for an influential and flourishing city, the intellectual center of the medieval world. The order and imposing presence of this building also echoed the harmony and stability which in the 12th century began to spread throughout the entire country. By the 13th century, the alliance of a powerful monarchy working hand in glove with an equally powerful clergy had helped to bring peace, prosperity, and learning to all of France. Notre Dame came to symbolize an entire age.